What is measurement? Consider a straight line and a ruler. You place the ruler along the straight line and then note the length of the straight line, say 20 centimeters. What is happening here? You compare the length of the straight line with a ruler gradation and arrive at a conclusion about the length of the straight line. You measure the length of the straight line by comparison. You compare the straight line with the gradations on the ruler. Can you measure the length without the ruler and then without comparison? No, you can't. All measurement is comparison, and there can be no comparison without a reference, like, like a standard ruler, for instance. What is a standard? If 1 kg meant more in New Delhi but meant less in Chennai, you would have bought at Delhi, not in Chennai, simply because you would get more onions or vegetables for a kg in Delhi than in Chennai. There is no agreement between observers in Delhi and Chennai. They come to a consensus or an agreement when they fix the weight of 1 kg to mean the same throughout the world. 1 kg of tomatoes mean the same throughout the world. Such a fixed reference, like a kg, meter, second, etc., is called a standard. A standard resolves the conflict because everybody is in agreement about what the fixed measure, kg, meter, and second are. So when all measurement is comparison and all comparison needs a reference, a fixed reference is a standard. Consider a carcass or the dead body of an animal that has begun to rot. It gives out an offensive odor according to us humans. However, the vultures find the same odor attractive according to the vultures. They arrive from far away and high above to feast on the carcass or cadaver that stinks for miles according to humans. How the same carcass or cadaver smell both attractive and offensive? That is the question. How does the same odor smell attractive or offensive? Therefore, the odor is neither attractive nor repulsive or offensive. It is the vulture program that translates or interprets the odor as attractive and the human program as offensive or repulsive. The spice of the paprika is not out there in the paprika, but in the consciousness of the observer, Galileo Galilei said. The question is, where is the attraction or offensiveness or repulsiveness? The question is, where is the attraction or offensiveness or repulsiveness? It is not in the odor of the rotting carcass, because how can the odor be both attractive and offensive or repulsive? Here is the catch. If the human program or the vulture program is the observer, then the odor is not the observed or the observer effect, but the attraction due to the translation or interpretation of the vulture program is the observer effect or the observed. Again, if the human program or the vulture program is the observer, then the odor is not the observed or the observer effect, but the attraction due to the translation or interpretation of the vulture program is the observer effect or observed. That is, the spice of the paprika is not out there in the paprika, but in the consciousness of the observer, Galileo Galilei. And the observer is the observed, Jiddu Krishnamurti. Two tests to ascertain that the observer is the observed. Test one is to swap the programs. If you swap the sensory organs and the mechanism of the vulture and the human programs, then the human will find the rotting odor attractive and the vulture will find it offensive or repulsive. Test 2 is to remove one or both observers. If you remove all observers, vultures, humans, etc., then there is only odor but no attractiveness or offensiveness. If you remove the vulture program, then there is then there is only offensiveness or repulsiveness as felt by the human observer. Likewise, remove the human and keep the vulture program. Then there will be only attractive odor or attraction. That is, the spice of the paprika is not out there in the paprika, but in the consciousness of the observer, Galileo Galilei. And the observer is the observed, Jiddu Krishnamurti. We now return to the ruler and straight line. Example. We do something odd and weird, like we alter the length of the standard ruler, keeping the straight line untouched or constant. We shorten the ruler and find that the straight line increases in length and vice versa. The observer is the ruler, and the observed effect or the observed is the length. Again, the observer is the ruler, and the observer effect or the observed is the length. Please note the length is the observed or observer effect, not the straight line per se. We see that the length of the straight line varies when we alter the length of the ruler. Although the straight line is untouched, its length varies because now the standard of the ruler varies. Therefore, the ruler is the frame of reference or the observer, and the observer effect or the observed is the length of the straight line and never the straight line itself. This is why you must never alter a standard like a ruler and its gradations. The standard is a fixed reference agreed by all. Again, when we say when we say a standard, we mean a fixed reference. When we say that the odor is offensive or repulsive or attractive, we qualify the odor. The odor is offensive compared with the human observer program, and the same odor is attractive compared with the vulture observer program. Or the odor is attractive compared with or based on the vulture observer program, and the odor is offensive or repulsive compared with or based on the human observer program. The human observer qualifies the odor as offensive, and the vulture qualifies the odor as attractive compared with or based on the observer program. But all comparison needs reference, and measurement is comparison. Therefore, qualification is measurement. The vulture program or the human program is the observer, and the attraction or offensiveness is the observed or the observer effect. Anything done with respect to, or with reference to, or compared with anything else is measurement.